6 News WOWT starts with breaking news.
His whole involvement in this was all about deceit and lies.
Tonight, a jury finds Aldrick Scott guilty of murder. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison.
Carrie Allen's family feels relief that this chapter is now over. They talked with our Brian Mastry after the verdict, and he joins us live in the studio. Brian?
Aaron, John, the jury dismissed the notion that Carrie Allen confronted Aldrick Scott in her home with a gun in November 2022 and that he was simply defending himself. Instead, they believe that Aldrick Scott drove to Omaha from Kansas to reconcile the relationship, waited inside her home for her to return from a date, and he shot and killed her and got rid of evidence.
Do you have anything to say, Aldrick?
Aldrick Scott had nothing to say after deputies led him away in handcuffs, guilty of murder. The jury didn't buy his 2 hours of testimony last week, claiming self-defense. The weight of the uncertainty of a trial is over for Carrie Allen's family.
Does this feel like justice for you?
There is no justice here. I mean, nothing's going to bring Carrie back. It is, just following the crime he did and the punishment that is deemed, reasonable for what he did. So, justice. It's kind of funny because you're not bringing Carrie back. There really is no justice.
Brett Allen is Carrie's ex-husband. He testified on the first day to Carrie Allen's big heart, caring for mentally challenged adults who would come to her home, and how she would never own a gun. Their 16-year-old son, Brennan, said the same on the witness stand. Wonderful caretaker, even better mother.
How is he doing now?
He is absolutely amazing. He's been my rock through this. For what he's had to go through and the way he's come out of it, it's nothing short of a miraculous miracle. I mean, he is strong, but you can tell that he definitely misses his mom.
Aldrick Scott, an ex-Marine, admitted to many pieces of evidence during the week-long trial, following Carrie Allen's shared location on Snapchat, parking a couple blocks away after driving up from Kansas. He showed up unannounced, patched the bullet holes in the wall, threw away evidence, and buried her in Kansas. His whole story centered on Carrie threatening him and the gun going off during a struggle where he said he feared for his life.
It was so ludicrous that it was almost comical in some parts of it. Again, us that knew Carrie knew that the story that they had come up with was absolutely no way possible or feasible. So we just prayed and hoped that the jury would see it as we knew it to be.
After more than 4 days of testimony, the jury found Aldrick Scott guilty after 2.5 hours of deliberation. He'll be sentenced in May, John Aaron, but there is no wiggle room here based on Nebraska law for first-degree murder. It's life in prison. On your side, Brian Mastry, 6 News.
For the first time tonight, we're sharing some of the evidence that the jury saw that led to a guilty verdict against Aldrick Scott.
From the bullet holes in the victim's home to video of him moving her body in the neighborhood, Brian Mastry is on your side with some of the extensive detective work used to build the murder case.
Aldrick Scott wasn't able to talk his way out of murder. The jury didn't buy his self-defense argument on the witness stand. No doubt his actions caught on various videos had more impact on the conviction. Let's begin at the Good Life Bar and Grill on November 19th, 2022, 180th and Pacific. Carrie Allen is on a date here. That's Aldrick Scott's gold SUV prowling in the parking lot. It's 10:15 in the evening. He just arrived after making the nearly 3-hour drive from his home in Topeka, Kansas. He circles the parking lot for several minutes. Aldrick Scott knows Carrie Allen is here because he follows her location on Snapchat. He doesn't see her car, though, because it's in the shop and she borrowed her son's black sedan. A few minutes later, Aldrick Scott is spotted on a doorbell camera driving down Carrie Allen Street in northwest Omaha. He parks the Chevy Equinox in a new construction area a couple blocks away. Another camera catches him walking down the sidewalk. Investigators believe that Scott let himself into Carrie Allen's home using the garage keypad and waited. An hour after Aldrick Scott passed by, we see Carrie Allen arriving home from her date. There's her teenage son's black Ford Focus. 45 minutes later, Carrie Allen is dead in her bedroom, shot once in the chest. Aldrick Scott tried to patch the bullet hole in the master bedroom door and the 4 walls it passed through, but it was sloppy and obvious. This is what Carrie Allen's family saw the next day, the reason why they were so concerned for her safety. Around 3 a.m., Carrie Allen's car is spotted on the same cameras heading north in the direction where Aldrick Scott parked his SUV. Investigators say he moved her body from the trunk to his vehicle and parked her car back in the garage. Scott is now seen running down the sidewalk, headed for his vehicle with a Superman sticker on the door. It's time for him to head home to Kansas. Security video spots him getting gas off Highway 75 just across the Nebraska border into Kansas. Carrie's body is in the back. The GPS system in the gold SUV turned out to be crucial for investigators.
I mean, if we don't have that, I don't think Carrie Allen's body ever gets found.
A month later, the OnStar dad appointed detectives to this abandoned farmhouse in Topeka. Carrie was buried here. Aldrick Scott had fled the country at this point to Mexico and then Belize. He was on the run. But no more. The guilty verdict puts him in prison for the rest of his life.